Well, guys, it's Tuesday morning, so you know what that means. It's time for our matchup recaps of week 3. And I got to say, I couldn't wait to get started on this one. It's a fun recap. Really great week in the league. A lot of fun, good stuff happening. So let's start out with, of course, I destroyed Matt. Zeke, Julio, and Ty all underperformed. You can't win when your studs don't get it done. That's just all there is to it. Don't worry about it. You're going to bounce back next week because you get to play Steve. Reese made a good point to me about why it was a bad decision to draft Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey obviously can't run between the tackles. It just looks like somebody forgot to tell the Bengals that. I mean, 184 yards rushing on 28 carries. I guess that's he's pretty bad between the tackles. Good point, Reese. The Vikings are awful, and Dan Bailey was probably my worst pickup of the season. But I did absolutely hustle Jared out of Kerryon Johnson. Now, to be fair, my point to you was that Rashad Penny's awful. I didn't like Rashad Penny. So I like Kerryon. Kerryon looks good. So also got myself a new wide receiver 1 thanks to Steve dropping Kenny Galladay, but we'll get into that later. Jason obliterates Steve. The downward spiral begins. Steve has so few points that he loses a game and drops 4 places all the way down to 6, just a complete free fall. Steve, when he loses to Mers this week, he's going to go down to sticker bitch cupbearer territory. Cam Newton, Jason, he's a horrible person. He's a touchdown vulture, and I hate him, but he's really good for fantasy purposes. So there you go, Cam Newton. Is there any doubt, by the way, at this point, that Juju Smith-Schuster is the number 1 wideout on the Steelers? He's now getting more targets. He's running more routes. He's catching more balls. He's getting more yards. Juju is the guy. There has been a changing of the guard in Pittsburgh. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, I know what Steve's thinking. Now, there's not much to say here. I know what he's thinking is, it's okay. I'm going to flip Brown, and I'm going to flip Mark Ingram for a king's ransom. And I'd be looking to do that too. But look at Ingram's schedule after the bye before you make any offers on Ingram. If you're comfortable with a committee back with that schedule, then by all means, go ahead. Now, AB, again, solid wideout. He's not worth anything near what Steve's been asking for him, though, anymore. So low ball away, my friends. Low ball away. Now, Corey Clement was supposed to be super elite, like, he's an RB1. 7 points is okay. I mean, he was all right for a fill-in. I mean, as far as Steve's running backs go, that is elite. But who cuts Chris Carson? Chris Carson is a lead back. I understand he hadn't done really that much yet, but he's a lead back. You can't afford to be cutting lead backs. You're starting Alex Collins and Corey Clement, for God's sake. What's wrong with you? Also, cut Kenny Galladay. You know, to date, Kenny Galladay and Chris Carson would have been Steve's number 1 running back and number 1 wide receiver. So, bold strategy or just sheer stupidity? You tell me. You be the judge. I don't know. Moving on. Tony Jr. edges out Reese by a yard. Just a yard. Talk about game of inches here. Great matchup. Really fun one to watch. The Rams are beatable, at least in fantasy. Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably having the greatest journeyman season of all time. Kareem Hunt and David Johnson, though, still major question marks after Kareem. Even after Kareem got in the end zone twice, he's being extremely underutilized, as is David Johnson. It's about time to hit the panic button on these guys. Carlos Hyde is not being underutilized, and he is awesome. So the Minnesota D, I would cut them on principle after they just got slapped around by Josh Allen and the Bills. I mean, at one point, the Bills announcer correctly stated that Anthony Barr wants nothing to do with Josh Allen right now. Let that sink in. Anthony Barr, the guy that broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone, wanted nothing to do with Josh Allen, and the announcer was 100% correct. Anthony Barr was scared to death of Josh Allen. So Gurley and Goff are performing at an insane level, but Reese took a step backwards this week. He got roasted on a trade with Rich. Seriously, you're going to regret giving up Diggs all season, and I don't think there's a big gap between Breida and Marshawn. I wouldn't be surprised if Breida finishes with more fantasy points. Good work, Rich. Made your team a little bit better. This loss falls 100% on Latavius Murray, 3.1 against the Bills. Come on, man. Can't do that. But stay tuned. Stat correction Thursday. Reese only needs 1 yard in his favor to be undefeated still. But, Steve, if you're waiting on stat corrections, I wouldn't hold my breath. I've never seen a 5-touchdown stat correction. So I think it's safe for you to just assume that you're in 6th place. Now, Joe Beats Senior, and we got to talk about Mike Evans just ruining Senior's fantasy life. I mean, I need to get Mike Evans back on my team just in case I face Senior in the playoffs again. Mike Evans just knocks out Senior every chance he gets. The truth is, those that you both deserve to lose. Senior for playing Amari Cooper on the road against Xavier Howard. If you would have watched the matchup preview, I did warn you about that. Joe for starting Dion Lewis at Jacksonville and benching Adrian Peterson against the Packers, who he's made a career out of smacking around. Adrian Peterson destroys the Packers. Everybody knows that. It's a bad sit, Joe, just bad sit. With how poorly both of you guys are managing your teams, I'm not really concerned with either one of you. Mahomes, though, is an absolute terror. He is toying with the league. Tyreek, however, he's boom or bust, and you knew that. I mean, he's an Andy Reid offense, and he's a gadget player, so he's going to have huge weeks. He's going to have nothing weeks. Should have been shopping him after week 1, definitely after week 2. You could have gotten a king's ransom for him. I even offered you Devontae Adams for him, which was a no-brainer except. But this is why you shouldn't draft homers for your team. Like, it prevents you from doing things that help your team. Joe is still carrying 3 tight ends. Keep up the good work, Joe. I'm sure somebody's going to give you a ton for Trey Burton or O.J. Howard any day now, so keep holding your breath on that. Now, finally, we get to the battle of the SSRs. Jared beats Rich. Don't look now, guys, but Jared may not be the GD this season. I mean, he may not even be contention for GD. Drew Brees looks like the Brees of old. And, I mean, if he can give him 30-plus consistently, Jared's going to be tough. On the flip side of things, Kenyon Drake is absolutely useless. I wouldn't trust putting him in my lineup ever again after he hung up a 3 spot against the Raiders. That's unacceptable. Can't trust him. ODB is being hindered by Eli, as well as he's no longer the centerpiece of that offense. It's Saquon, the chef, and don't look for that to change anytime soon. I mean, Odell's solid overall still, but he's your Antonio Brown. He's just not what he used to be. Rich got a 6 out of Tom Brady. When that happens, Rich is going to lose. That's all there is to it. The difference in this game was basically the difference in points between Brady and Brees. So, although I got to commend Rich one more time, Diggs and Breida, they're going to help you be more competitive moving forward. It takes away decisions from you that you don't have to make now. You just plug those guys in. Don't worry about it. Those guys are good to go. And that's all I got for you guys this week. On a side note, I just wanted to point out, cyberbullying is real. And, Steve, there are suicide hotlines to help you through this difficult time. If you need me to step in and tell everybody to stop being so mean to you, maybe I can work something out with the league where maybe you buy everybody pizza and everybody's just nice to you again. So let me know what you need, buddy. Just don't go out on a little edge, okay? All right, I'll talk to you guys later and see you tomorrow or Thursday for the matchup previews.